Howdy, this is Uncle Tim reading updated autobiographical sketch from the Blue Book, page 403. As I wrote this autobiographic assignment 20 years ago, I self-identified my philosophy as an empiricist, or one who relies on physical evidence over theory. I recognize now, as did the Apostle Paul and notable scientists, this ideology may be a curse more than a blessing. Physiographically, I have ambled freely, for the most part, astride the Pacific Ocean territories, Rocky Mountains, Colorado Plateau, and Sonoran Western Basin and Range provinces. One of the highlights of Wanderlust has been environmental engineering assignments on the other side of the international dateline, Pacific Islands of Guam, Saipan, Tinian, and Palau in Micronesia. Part of my skill set, endowed from formative years in construction, is evaluating natural disaster costs and presenting the conceptual remediation designs in reports to federal funding agencies. This led my employment as a consultant to evaluate the civil damage in the wake of the 2009 Samoan tsunami, where I eventually stayed for 5 years to restore their power generation and water supply infrastructure. Since then, I have enjoyed assisting tribes and territories managing their water resources and utilities. Oh, and previously, in my late adolescence, I was called to serve a mission south of the Mason-Dixon line, away down south in Dixie, in South Carolina and Georgia. I recommend a full-time mission opportunity to those with a desire to dedicate a rare span of Earth time that allows the volunteer to focus entirely on non-temporal matters when spiritual development waxes in the wane of romance, fiscal, or scholastic pursuits. At 28 years old, I was the youngest county engineer of record in the state of Arizona, which is normally an old guy's kind of job. We are blessed with enlightenment through challenges, but my most important calling is as father to the 3 best children in the world. They all serve selflessly in positions of their community branches and wards. Jake creates places of value through architectural design of schools, hospitals, and other community edifices. Joe serves in diplomatic and peacekeeping roles throughout Eastern Europe, the Balkans, West Africa, and the Middle East. Dana prospers as mother, student, and manager of a medical-driven household on the banks of the Snake River in southern Idaho. Over the last 16 years, I have enjoyed the constant companionship of the angel Ivy, whom along with Patty and Steve contribute to our family as excellent partners in grandparenting. Miracle of Earth's creation and the night sky have haunted my terrestrial requests. Yet the hymns of my youth still provide significant solace. To the posterity of Jim and Maydeen, I rejoice. We are glad you were sent to our house to live.
Tributes to Grandpa and Grandma. Camden, reading for Tim.
Mom, I remember the old style of bologna and cheese that did not come pre-sliced. Sometimes my sandwich would be as thick as a boot on one side and wedged down to nothing in about half the bread. Even though gourmet cooking was not her thing, I never remember a time when she was not happy to put a meal or snack together out of pure love and maternal responsibility. In this way, she is really great cook. I remember being tutored by her in physics at the washing machine and thermodynamics at the ironing board. Creative, intelligent, quite a dancer, and even perfect pitch. In another place and time, Mom would have probably been a great scientist, doctor, or philosopher, but in our subculture at the time, it would have been socially unacceptable for her to compete with her brothers in that field. We are very fortunate to have her as a mother because her greatest power is unconditional love, which has given all of her children the sense of confidence to excel, each in their own separate ways. Dad, of many great memories of Dad, power of faith, prayer, and healing, I often have thought of another great lesson he has taught me about learning. When I was about 13, we were building the BYU auxiliary building where I was doing some cleanup, which involved driving a large dump truck. I took one corner too sharp and knocked some bricks out of a brand new, fresh CMU wall. I thought I would probably have to work the rest of my life to pay for the damages and never be able to drive for a long time. All Dad said was to get back in the truck and try it again until I get it correct. This was a good lesson to keep on trying and get back up quick when you are down.
The overriding theme of my memories of Grandpa, and arguably the theme of his life, are his faith and hard work. I treasure all the time that we have worked side by side at the ranch and the many talks that we've had about our family and the things of God. He was the one that baptized me and ordained me to the priesthood, and I've always felt a special closeness because of our identical initials, JHB. I would reflect upon his example many times as I confronted challenges in the mission field, but perhaps the memory that has most influenced my life recently is a blessing that he gave me at the Whiting reunion, the first time I saw him after my return from Brazil. He gave me a wonderful blessing that I often ponder in times of doubt, questioning if I'm equal to all that's expected of me. I occasionally let myself get down, wondering if Jake Bodell is really going to be able to cut it, if he's really as promising as some think. It's at those times that I remember his inspired words telling me that I can and will succeed and do all the things that I need to. I therefore believe in myself, in part because I believe him. If the other family's memories of Grandma are anything like ours, then they probably portray a very funny Grandma. The last Whiting reunion, all of the Bodell cousins were out playing games together, and in the late hours, the subject drifted to our funny Grandma moments. The first memory of her that popped into my mind was the time she tried calling our house and fell asleep, leaving 20 minutes of snoring on her answering machine. Those were the typical stories that we shared with the utmost amount of affection and endearment. But to me, and I'm sure all of us, what Grandma's done for our matriarchal clan, what has had the most influence on successive generations, would be her unconditional love. That term has become a catchphrase that is too often used, but to me, there is an instant association between unconditional love and Grandma. She has her worry Wednesdays to think about all the people and things that she loves which would cause her to fret. She pushes all of her concerns to a specific day so she can manage to live the rest. Even though she loves all her family all the time, she reconciles such feelings which would otherwise overwhelm her with the need to continue living. I have only heard passing reference to this practice of hers, but it has become a vivid symbol in my mind of that love which has influenced us much more than her narcolepsy.
Camden reading for Joe.
I can remember a couple years ago when Grandpa gathered all his grandchildren one by one just to tell them how much his testimony meant to him. At the time, a young and spiritually undeveloped, I thought it was a sign that his health was deteriorating. But now, serving God full-time here in Bulgaria, I realize how great my grandpa really is. He just wanted us, his grandchildren, whom he really loves, to know his faith. He counseled us so that we can say, like Enos, that we were taught in the admonition of the Lord. He did this hoping that we would grow up, we would remember his words, that they would sink in deep to our hearts, and that we could find the same joy in life that he has found. Well, I remember those words he said to me as we sat on the edge of the pavilion on that summer day. These things have sunken deep into my heart, and they will always be there, along with the other memories that show us how much Grandpa and Grandma really love us. I can remember just a year or so ago when we had a family reunion at a beach house in California. We were having a family talent show long after everybody ran out of talents or were too afraid to get up. Our funny grandma got up in front of the whole crowd and sang all of the good old favorites. She sang everything from Rolling Out the Barrel to On the Good Ship Lollipop, just like she was still in third grade. What a great example. She wasn't afraid of anything. She just kept singing and even threw in a little bit of dancing too. I can't help but think of her every time a Bulgarian baba stops me in the street to tell me that I need a bigger coat or refuses to let us go until she feeds us, even though we just ate a half an hour ago. What a great grandma. No joke intended.
Dixie reading for Dana. One of my favorite memories of Grandma was when Brandy and I were sleeping upstairs at the pavilion throughout the night. Grandma kept coming out of her room and covering us so that we would be warm. She looked for anything she could use to cover us up. She got coats, towels, floor mats, and every blanket and sheet in the apartment. Once, when she came out, she tripped over me and landed face down on top of me. She was rolling around, trying to get up, yelling, "Sorry, sorry, sorry." One of my most favorite memories of Grandpa was when I broke my collarbone and we met him at the St. George Hospital. He gave me a blessing, and then we went to his condo and had hot cocoa.
Page 407, Daniel Wayne Bodell. I met Polly in August of 1982. I had gone to Milpitas, California to work a few weeks between the summer and fall quarter at the University of Utah. I lived in a small trailer with Ed and Richard Gates at the job site. I had been dumped by a girl a few months earlier. Her missionary had come home. While traveling around with Bodell Construction Company over the years, I had learned that there was a certain mystique associated with being the new guy in town. I decided that while I was in Milpitas, I was going to see how many girls I could get to fall in love with me. I was going to turn on the charm. So I went to all the young adult activities, including a 2-word dance. It was a pretty small affair. I went into the kitchen to get some ice cream. While I was there, this girl came up to me and said, "Let me look at your eyes. All the girls are saying what beautiful eyes you have." Well, that was interesting. Here was a girl that could turn on the charm as well. We dated for the remaining weeks I was in California, and then we both moved to Utah in September. She was going to BYU Salt Lake in the nursing program. We were engaged just before Christmas and married on March 18th, 1983 during spring break. I graduated from the University of Utah in 1985 with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. Early in our marriage, my education and construction career required us to move the family quite often. We lived in the following locations: Salt Lake City at Old Farm, Richfield, Utah, for a summer job for Utah Department of Transportation, Salt Lake City Incline Terrace apartment while attending the University of Utah. James Daniel, our first son, was born on April 15th, 1984 while living there. Park City, 4 months in Sunspot Condo. Livermore, California, first job out of college, Dillingham Construction main office. Mililani, Hawaii, working for Triax Pacific, a joint venture between Triax and Bodell Construction, for a small renovation at Schofield Barracks. Crystal May, our first daughter, was born on August 5th, 1986 while living there. Waimanalo, Hawaii, Kaneohe Marine Corps Barracks project. While there, Seth Capono, our second son, was born on July 6, 1988. Eva Beach, Hawaii, Westlock projects. Mililani, Hawaii. Decided that we were going to be there for a while, so we may as well settle down, and I drove to the jobs. While there, Jenna, our second daughter and youngest, was born on January 9th, 1980. West Jordan, Utah. Made the move back to Utah to work in Bodell Construction's main office. Finally, after 7 years of marriage and 10 moves, we bought our first house. Salmon Creek area, Vancouver, Washington. In August of 2000, I made a sideways career change and went to work for Washington State University. In 2002 and 2003, I built Polly's dream home on our 5-acre property. I received my master's degree in public affairs from WSU in December of 2006. Polly and I have 4 great kids. As a child, our oldest James was a serious bookworm and always loved reading. However, when he was 5 and just about to start school, the doctor found a problem with his heart. 6 months later, he had open heart surgery. Page 408. Soon after, it was determined that he had developed pulmonary hypertension, which would limit his physical activity. Initially, it didn't seem to affect him very much because he used to always do what he loved most, just sit and read. We would always find him wholly absorbed in some book, encyclopedia, or sometimes even the dictionary. Due to his illness, we decided to do homeschool. Overall, we believed it worked out for the best for our children. They've all completed 2 years of college by the time they were 18. James's intelligence and love of learning motivated him to receive his bachelor's degree from WSU in Public Affairs, and then on to complete a law degree at Washington Lee University in Virginia. Our sweet Crystal is sugar and a lot of spice. She loves animals, the outdoors, extreme sports, and just seeing and experiencing the world. During her teenage years, Crystal was often frustrated with the church youth programs. She would often lament that only the boys get to do the fun stuff. She loves to plan, organize, and keep everyone hopping. Fittingly, Crystal completed her bachelor's degree in recreation management from Brigham Young University. She also completed a semester abroad playing in New Zealand, a great experience that has spurred her plans to travel the world. Seth Capono was our resident artist and mechanical engineer. From the time he was little, he has been fascinated with designs. He loved looking at beautiful flowers in his mother's garden. We would also catch him taking our sewing machine, radio, or computer apart just to see how it worked. He's currently working on his own designs with colors, paint, modern art, and sculpture. Seth is also working towards completing his bachelor's degree in computer art and design. Cheerful and around the farm and helpful, he was a cheerful hand around the farm as well, helping his old parents with all the improvements. Our cutie pie, Jenna, was the most happy and pleasant baby to be around. As a child, Jenna always had a song in her voice and dance and skip in her step. She would keep herself occupied for hours with make-believe play. She has grown up to love music and theater, and especially musical theater. She is currently finishing her associate degree in theater arts and enjoys performing with the college theater productions. She plans to finish her bachelor's and possibly a master's degree in theater and continue performing as well as teach. Jenna has such a wide variety of friends from all ages and backgrounds. She's such a joy to be around and always has a kind heart towards others. 3 years ago, when our oldest kids went off to college, we decided that the spare rooms could be put to good use, so we became foster family. We have had up to 4 preteen boys living with us at any given time. Several boys have stayed with us for a year or 2. This has been a great experience for our family, although at times very difficult. Most of our foster boys have had very horrendous experiences in their lives. It is very heartening to see many positive experiences and changes come their way in the time they spend with us. We're likely to keep doing it for a while. Since 2000, I've been working for Washington State University at the Vancouver campus. It's a fairly new school with about 2,000 students. It's growing, sure and steady. My job is similar to what I did at Bodell Construction, except that now I'm the owner, not the contractor. For the last year, I started doing some volunteer work in the community. I'm the president of our neighborhood association. The neighborhood is roughly the size of a steak in Salt Lake. We get a group of interested people together every other month and have speakers address us on topics of community interest. We've been restless over the years, never quite fitting in. We always wanted to settle down to a place that we wanted to be buried in. We think we have found it. Page 409. Tributes to Grandpa and Grandma. Dan. As a child, Mom letting the Cub Scouts make a papier-mâché mesh in the kitchen. Dad taking Tim and I down to the ranch after living in Hawaii and cleaning up after a year and a half's worth of critter crud from the cabin. As a teen, Mom writing a song for me to use in the tryouts for The Wizard of Oz. Dad falling asleep on the couch while waiting up for me when I came home late, just to make sure I got home okay. Dad washing the truck during brief rainstorms since he couldn't normally wash it because of the drought. As a young parent, Mom coming to Hawaii to live in Kailua. Dad riding his bike around the project site at the Kaneohe Marine Base. As an older parent, Mom worrying about Dad's health and care. Dad worrying about Mom's health and care.
Camden reading for James.
I remember always being excited to go to Grandma and Grandpa's apartment in the American Towers because they always had peanut butter Captain Crunch. They would spoil us by letting us sit there at their little table and eat bowl after bowl.
Dixie reading for Crystal. Grandma tap dancing and singing at a family reunion. Grandma playing runs and bunches with us. Grandpa telling us stories from the way things were before the war while he was a teenager and child. Camden reading for Seth.
Tractor rides that Grandpa would give the family up to the lake at the ranch. Grandma always worrying about everyone, even when we were just sitting outside doing nothing of any importance. There's also the fact that they know how to live the good life, i.e. sleeping a lot, relaxing, sleeping, eating when necessary, sleeping, etc.
Dixie reading for Jenna. When I was little, Grandma and Grandpa came by for an unexpected visit. We had just bought some new couches, and when I saw Grandma was sitting on the love seat by herself, I went to Grandpa and said to him, "That over there is the love seat." And so he said, "Well, I guess I have to sit over there then." The time at Thanksgiving of Grandma telling us her whole childhood life. Grandpa telling me that someone put the sun out when it went behind a cloud once. Page 411. This is my life later, because I had done earlier. Dixie Lee Bodell Stanton McCorvey. Dave Stanton and I chose to get married on June 28th, 1986. We had our wedding up Emigration Canyon. Dave's father, who was the bishop at the time, married us. It was beautiful. My first wish would have been to be married in the temple, but we were unable at that time. We lived in his parents' basement when we were first married. During this time, I learned again how much my Heavenly Father and Jesus love me. I received firsthand the gift of the atonement and the gift of forgiveness. It was a difficult time, but I learned so much about myself, others, and the gospel. Dave decided to join the Army about 6 months after we were married. I was pregnant and so sick until the start of my 4th month. I was in and out of the hospital from dehydration. Dave got his date to go into the Army basic training and was going to be gone when our baby was born. I moved to the Kennys for them to take care of me again. On February 6, 1987, I felt like I was going to burst with baby. I was due and wanted the baby out. Jemay had me walk up and down the street. Since Dave was gone, my mom and 3 sisters were going to be in the delivery room with me. We decided to go walk around the mall to see if we could get this baby here. We drove up to Cottonwood Mall, and Pam and I were dropped off at the front door. In the first display case we came to, there were some little pink high tops. Dave's family was big on having a boy first, so we had always preferred referred to the baby as him. When I saw these little pink high tops, I turned to Pam with tears in my eyes and said, "I want a baby girl." Right after I said that, my water broke right there in the middle of the mall. Embarrassing. Jemay and Chris soon came in, and we were all headed back into the car and to the hospital. It was a long night. Mom, Jemay, Chris, and Pam stayed at the hospital to help me through the birthing process. I remember Chris was designing a house and was looking at house plans the whole night. I was glad they were there. The next morning, my sweet little Courtney May Stanton was born on February 7th, 1987. I really did not know that I could love something so much so fast. I was in love with her from the second I saw her. I was so happy to have Heavenly Father entrust me with this sweet little spirit. The next day, Pam brought me a present. It was those cute little pink high tops that I had seen in the shoe store window. When Dave was done with basic training, he was sent to Denver, Colorado for AIT, Graphic Design School. Courtney and I moved to Denver. This was our first place of our own since we had been married. Dave loved the little girl so much. We were sealed to each other and Courtney in the Jordan River Temple. Next, we went to Fayetteville, North Carolina. Soon after we got pregnant with Brandy, Dave got orders to be sent to West Berlin, Germany. We were excited for the adventure. Before leaving for Germany, we went home to Salt Lake for Brandy to be born. Dave was leaving to Germany straight from Salt Lake. It was getting close to when we had to leave, and Brandy was having a hard time saying goodbye to everyone up in heaven. Finally, we had to beg the doctor to start the birth process so that Dave did not miss the birth of his second child. Brandy was born on November 7th, 1988, while Dave was watching a baseball game. Once we got to the hospital, everything went very fast, and I had my second beautiful child. I was worried that I would not be able to love another baby as much as I did Courtney, but the second I saw her, I was in love with her too. I moved back to North Carolina with my two little girls to wait till Dave found a place for us to live. It was not long before the movers came and packed us up, and we were off to our German adventure. I loved going out and exploring Germany daily with my two little girls. Dave and I would go over to the East Berlin every so often. We would have to go through Checkpoint Charlie. Dave worked for the Allied Staff Headquarters doing their artwork. Allied Staff was a special group that consisted of all the big wigs from the American, British, and French. Allied Staff protected the people of West Berlin from the communist country that surrounded the city of West Berlin. He enjoyed his job, but not the whole military way of life. The East German government announced on November 9, 1989, after several weeks of civil unrest, that entering West Berlin would be permitted. Crowds of East Germans climbed onto and crossed the wall, joined by West Germans on the other side, a celebratory atmosphere. Over the next few weeks, parts of the wall were chipped away by a euphoric public and by souvenir hunters. Industrial equipment was later used to remove the rest of the wall. We have videos of our 3-year-old Courtney and 1-year-old Brandy hammering pieces of the wall. We had Courtney walk into the no-man's zone and shake hands with the East German border guards that 2 weeks before would have been ordered to shoot her. It was a very exciting time to live there. Now that Berlin was being reunited, there was no need for Allied staff to be in Berlin any longer. They gave the soldiers the option to be transferred somewhere else, or if they wanted, they could get an early release because they were no longer needed. Dave chose to get an early release, so we headed back to Utah. We lived in Grandma and Grandpa's condo at American Towers for a short time, and then at Dave's parents' new apartment they had built on the upstairs of their house while they were on their mission. We bought a cute little bungalow in Sugar House area. The address was 1009 Crandall Avenue. We lived there for about a year and a half and then bought a little newer home in West Jordan in 1992. During this time, I was back in Utah. I was so happy to be around family. I decided to have an activity once a month with all the nieces and nephews that were in the area, and we had so much fun together. We had wanted another child for a while, and soon I was pregnant with my third child. Yippee! I thought my life was just about perfect, but I was soon to be served up some very important learning experiences in life. Even though I seemed to be very happy, Dave was not so happy. Little by little, he drew further and further away from me and from home in general. He did not want to go to church, which, through our marriage, was off and on all the time. We were just growing farther and farther apart. I was so sick again with the pregnancy. Dave was not very supportive, which was so hard for me. About the time I started feeling better, Mom and Dad, Chris and Ed, were taking a trip to Europe, and I decided to go stay and watch over the Gates kids in California in May of 1993. While I was in California, we were having a great time going to the beach in Disneyland. We were going to be there for a month. Dave was supposed to come and spend a week with us. He called and said that he would not be coming, and that when I came home he would have moved out, and he was not sure he wanted to be married to me any longer. I kept asking him why, and he said he just was not happy. Dave moved out and stayed with a friend. I kept trying to talk to him into moving back and working on the relationship. I went to a family reunion over July 4th at Palisades. Dave said he could not come with us because he had to work. While I was gone, I called his work to talk to him, and they said he had taken the weekend off. I called his friend, and he told me that he had gone away to Las Vegas with some friends from work. That was the minute that I knew my husband was having an affair. When I returned from the reunion, I confronted him. He did not deny it and broke down crying. There were so many awful emotions that I could never try to want to explain. We went back and forth about whether to stay together or not. I was willing to forgive and move on. Then there was a new twist to the nightmare. A couple of weeks later, we found out that Val was pregnant. Dave went back and forth trying to decide between Val and I for the next 6 months. I did not know what I would have done without Laura Kenny and Rachel Hicks during this time. They were such a great support system for me and my 2 little girls. I do not know that I would be here today if it was not for both of them. On October 15th, 1993, I woke up to go to the bathroom. As I stood out of my bed, my water broke. I ran in to tell the girls, "Get up, my water broke." Brandy sleepily walked into both bathrooms and looked around and walked in to tell me that I was wrong. There was no water broken. I explained that I was having our baby today. I tried to call Pam and Jemay and could not get a hold of either of them to take me to the hospital. So as a last resort, I called Dave to come and take us to the hospital. Jemay and Pam met us there. Laura was there to help with the girls in the delivery room. It was one big party. I was not going to let Dave be there, but while he was driving us to the hospital, I decided he should be there. I was so excited to hold my first little boy in my arms. We named him Camden Jackson Stanton. Could I love him as much as my girls? Yes, I did. It was another miracle in my life. Dave Stanton had his only son, and Courtney and Brandy were thrilled to have a little brother. 4 months later, Courtney and Brandy went to see their baby sister, Sydney Stanton, born. That summer, Dave and I made the decision to get divorced. This was one of the hardest decisions I have ever made in my whole entire life. On September 2nd, 1994, Dave and Val were married. For the first time in my life, I really hated someone. She was the woman who had taken my husband away from me and our family. For a year and a half, that hate was eating away at me. It started out as a little black hole and got bigger and bigger every day. I got to a point where I did not want to get up in the morning and take care of my 3 children. There were days that I did not want to live anymore. Then one morning I remember slowly getting out of bed and kneeling down to pray to my Heavenly Father. As I was praying to help me get off my knees so that I could take care of my 3 little children and be a good mother to them, I saw a vision in my head. I saw a beautiful woman rocking my brand new little baby boy. I started to cry and realized that the woman I had hated was going to be a great stepmother to my children, and it was time to let go of the hate that had been growing in me and slowly killing me. At the second I made that decision, a clean, pure light filled all of those dark, ugly holes that had been forming. It was another miracle in my life. Clear Creek Ranch. In February of 1995, I moved to the ranch with my kids. I felt strongly that we needed a change. Dad and Mom needed to help to get things going at the ranch. I cooked, cleaned, and did the landscaping. I learned a lot about sprinkler systems and mowing lawns. Soon after that, at a sister retreat, we started to discuss what we could do with the ranch and decided we wanted to turn it into a place for family reunions. On December 30th, 1996, I went to a singles dance in St. George. The kids had gone to spend the rest of Christmas break and New Year's with Dave. While I was at this dance, Del McCorvey asked me to dance. 7 months later, I married Del on August 1st, 1997, in Salt Lake City. The kids and I moved to St. George for about 1.5 years. Del did not want me to have to keep driving back and forth to the ranch and agreed to leave his business and life in St. George to assist me and my family in making the ranch succeed. I am thankful to him for sacrificing his career and life in my behalf. We moved into the guest house the summer season of 1999 for the next 2 years. It was a little crowded for 5 people, and the last 6 months Del's mom moved in with us. Then it was very crowded. I had a deep passion and love for the ranch and the people. I loved working together with my sisters to create such a wonderful place. I loved working with my staff, but mostly I enjoyed working with my nieces and nephews. My favorite time of the day would be roundup, where we would start the day going over schedules, singing a song, and having a thought for the day and having a prayer together. We could not have done it without each other, with each person who made the ranch a better place. Thank you to all who made this time so fantastic for me. Now it was great, but I am also here to tell you that it did not always go perfect. I learned many learning lessons. I learned about relationships, business partners, and just about life in general. But that is what life is about. Things are not always going to go perfectly. The trick is how we react and what we do when they don't go the way we want them to. Anger will usually get you nowhere. As we have learned, love one another, love your enemies, or better yet, do not allow your heart to ever make enemies. In spring of 2001, we decided we needed to find a bigger place for our family. Del found a little old run-down house that the kids in town called the haunted house. We bought the haunted house, and the next summer Del did all the work to fix it up. I have lived in Kane County longer than I have ever lived anywhere, so I guess I consider this home. I have always told my children that home is not where you live, as long as we are together. I have moved so much in my life and have always felt at home. It is the love that makes it home. In July of 2002, I seemed to be more tired than usual. I could not even look at food. I figured that 7 years of the same ranch food meals had done me in. Don't get me wrong, those 7 meals were delicious, and I am grateful for each one of them. This is saying it was 2002. It wasn't. It had to be 2004, because Noah was born in 2004. Yeah, I got these dates wrong. Sorry. Dell and I went out to eat in Springdale for our wedding anniversary. About halfway through the meal, I got so sick I thought I was going to die. It occurred to me then that I just might be pregnant. I could not believe it. Dell and I had wanted kids for years, and it just did not happen. Well, the next morning, I bought a pregnancy test and found out that after almost 10 years, I was going to have another baby. Yippee! I was really sick as usual, but after a couple of stays in the Kane County Hospital, I talked to my doctor about setting up home health care to do an IV at home. Brandy would hook it up, and a nurse would come in and check it every few days. On March 15th, 2004, it says 2003, but it was 2004, Noah Tiger McCorvey was born. I was turning 40 years old in April. I am so thankful to have him in my life to keep me young. Courtney is special because her love and passion for life. She loves to have fun and make people want to have fun around her. She has been a great big sister to her brothers and sisters. She likes to pretend that she is lazy, but when something important needs to be done, she is always there to complete the task. She has a beautiful singing voice. I wish she would share it more with others. Brandy has one of the sweetest spirits I have ever come across. She is always concerned about others, wanting to serve them, and has a charitable heart. She is organized and knows how to get things done. Everyone she comes in contact with is better because they have known her. She loves her sisters and brothers so much. Camden is the most easygoing and friendly person I know. He does not get upset about hardly anything. He has a charming spirit, and people enjoy being around him, and he has a talent of getting along with all types of personalities. He makes friends easily. He admires his older sisters, and is a great example to his younger sister and brother. If we were all like Camden, the world would be a peaceful place to live. Noah has a passion for life and is very active. I thought my other 3 children were nice and calm because I was such a good parent, but I have learned with Noah that it is partly passed down through the genes. He has a passion for life and is adventurous, like his father, and keeps all of us jumping. My motto in life is to live, to love to live. I love you. On the next page, page 416. These are tributes to Grandpa and Grandma. I'm going to read just my part. Dixie. My fondest memories of Mom would be when I was growing up. She was my best friend. I always knew that she would be home when I got home from school, and she would want a report of everything that happened during the day. I was always excited to get home and tell her. She is the best listener I have ever known. My friends would love to come and talk to her because she was such a good listener. I always knew that my mom loved me. I love you for that, Mom. Love, Dixie. My best memories of Dad, of course, were saying family prayer. I would always want to peek and see who he was talking to. I loved sitting next to Dad during sacrament meeting, and he would hold my hand. I would always look at his rough hands and his black nail, and that he had hit with a hammer, and realized how hard he worked for us. And of course, his biggest talent of all was the love that he had and showed my mom. What a good example he was of love and hard work. I love you, Dad. Love, Dixie.
Maydeen is funny and lovable. When I sleep at their place, she always makes sure that I have enough bedding and that I am comfortable. I'm glad that she chose to have 8 kids because I am happy that I have my beautiful wife, Dixie. Thank you, Dale. Jim is such a hard worker. He gets things done. He's a very spiritual man. My first memory of Jim was shoveling off the pavilion cement pad with him. He is a great example of loving his family. Thank you, Dale.
This is Courtney. Grandma, she is always concerned and worried about us because she cares what we are doing and loves us. Grandpa, overalls, green machine, working at ranch, fixing things, long prayers, loves his family, fun family reunions, and loving me. Love, Courtney.
Brandy, I love that Grandma is always protective of what I do. She doesn't want me to do anything that wouldn't be safe. She always tells me how pretty I am and that I am growing up so much. Love, Brandy. I love Grandpa because he has the ranch. When I go visit him, he makes me feel good about myself. He is a good example and he loves his family so much. I want to be like him in that way.
I remember when Grandma would fall asleep. I remember I used to have a kitchen buzzer. When I was playing blocks or something, I would ring the buzzer and she would wake up so that she could play blocks with me. I like that Grandma plays with me. She's funny. I love Grandma. Love, Camden. I remember when I made stilts with Grandpa. I'm glad that he took me to the Whiting reunion this summer. I like it when Grandpa lets me work with him. I'm glad that he got the ranch. He is funny. I'm glad that he is my grandpa, or I wouldn't have my mom, or me, or all the people in our family. Love, Camden.
This is Courtney reading for Noah. I love to go and visit Grandma and Grandpa. I love to ride on Grandpa's train and help him take care of Grandma. I love to help push Grandma in her wheelchair. She always tells me I am so cute. I like to go visit her and the kangaroo. When the kangaroo was little, I got to hold him, and now that he is bigger, I like to chase after him. I love that my grandma and grandpa love me.
Page 418. It's a list of Bodell reunions and parties. It's got a cute picture of Mom doing tap dancing, Good Ship Lollipop, and a picture of Grandma and Grandpa dressed as Dracula and Dracula's Bride. Scary. It was at a Halloween party. Okay, so the list goes. Bodell reunions, 1990, Green Valley Condos, 1991, Ventura, California Beach House, and Brown reunion, Palisades, Good Ship Lollipop. 1992, Whiting reunion. 1992, first reunion at Clear Creek Ranch. 1993, Lake Powell on Uncle Mike's houseboat. 1994, 50th anniversary reception for Jim M.A. Dean. 1994, Whiting Brown reunion Homestead. 1995, Clear Creek. 1996, Brown reunion Clear Creek. 1997, extended Bodell reunion Clear Creek. 2001, Brown reunion Ranch. 2002, Blue Newport Beach House. It rained and rained. 2003, Brown reunion Clear Creek. We cooked the roadkill cow. 2003, extended Bodell reunion at Clear Creek Ranch. 2004, Jim and Maydean's 60th wedding anniversary at Clear Creek. 2004, Whiting reunion. 2005, Brown reunion at Ranch. 2005, Maydean's 80th birthday party at Clear Creek Ranch. 2005, Labor Day weekend, last weekend at the Clear Creek Ranch. 2006, Whiting reunion. 2007, Bodell reunion at Gates Newport Beach Houses. 2007, Brown reunion at Manti. Then Bodell Cousins parties, July 1990, 24th of July parade at American Towers. December 1990, Christmas cookies at American Towers. January 1991, New Year's Eve at American Towers. February 1991, swimming party at American Towers. March 1991, Excalibur in Las Vegas. April 1991, Spy Scavenger Hunt at Fashion Place Mall. June 1991, California Beach House and Disneyland. July 1991, driving little Model T at Bodell Construction. October 1991, Halloween party at the Stanton's house. December 1991, Christmas cookies at American Towers. 1991 to 1992, Deer Valley Condo, fun times. 1992, kidnap breakfast. October 1992, Halloween party at American Towers. Fall 1992, bought Clear Creek Ranch, then Cedar Creek. December 1992, Home Alone 3. October 1993, Halloween party at Dixie's West Jordan House. October 1993, Thanksgiving at Ranch Pilgrim Indian Hats. January 1994, 50th wedding anniversary party. May 1994, food fight party. And February 1995, Dixie moves to ranch.